The grand chamber of the Galaxy Council shined like a star itself. 1,000 alien species gathered inside a dome of crystal and light, their voices blending into a low hum that filled the air. Every corner of the chamber glowed with energy streams that pulsed like living veins, connecting every seat, every screen, every mind. Today was a special day. The council was about to welcome a new species, a young civilization from a small blue world called Earth. No one in that hall believed this species could be important. To them, humanity was still new, still wild, still fragile. As the great doors opened, silence fell like gravity. From the shining corridor walked the Terran ambassador, tall, calm, and dressed in black and silver armor that reflected the starlight. Behind him moved a group of humans, scientists, soldiers, and envoys, each one carrying themselves with quiet discipline. The aliens watched closely, their many eyes blinking, their tendrils twitching in curiosity. No one had ever seen a species walk with such confidence among ancient powers. The ambassador's name was Elias Varin, a man who had once fought in the Terran peace wars before Earth united under one banner. He stood at the center podium, where energy lights formed the sigil of the Galactic Council. The High Chancellor of the Council, an elder being from the species Jakar, spoke first. "Welcome, humanity. You have been observed for centuries, and at last, you are ready to join the civilized stars." Polite applause followed, but most of it was empty. Among the crowd, whispers rose. "Primitive species," one alien muttered. "They still use metal ships," said another, laughing softly. A few diplomats smiled, pretending to show respect. They all remembered humanity's violent history, wars, chaos, nuclear weapons. To them, humans were a danger to themselves, not an equal to the galaxy. But Elias Varin simply looked around, his gaze calm, almost patient, as if he already knew what they were thinking. He tapped the control on his wrist, and a hologram appeared above him, showing Earth, its moons, its space stations, and its fleets. "Our world is small," he began, his voice steady, "but it has endured everything the universe could throw at it. Storms, wars, famine, extinction," he continued, "and yet we are still here." The hall grew quieter. He walked slowly as the hologram shifted to show a human child reaching for the stars. "We do not come to beg for a place among you," Elias Varin said. "We come to offer something you may have forgotten: resilience." The word hung in the air. Some aliens tilted their heads, others frowned. To them, it was arrogance, but to a few, it sounded like truth. The High Chancellor smiled again. "A bold statement from a young world," he said. "Tell us then, what does humanity seek from the Council?" Elias Varin paused, his face unreadable. "We seek peace," he said softly, "and the right to defend it." The council members murmured, confused. "Defend it," whispered one of the reptilian delegates. "From what?" Varin looked up, his expression calm, but his eyes carried something ancient, something unspoken. "From what always comes when power fears change," he replied. Outside the chamber, in the black sea of space, a silent shadow drifted, an enormous Terran ship completely cloaked, its surface darker than the void itself. Its systems were quiet, waiting, listening. It was not there to attack, only to observe. But if anyone in that hall had known, they would have felt their blood turn cold. Back inside, the discussion continued. The council members began asking questions about Earth's military, its resources, its population. They expected weakness, but the answers they received made them uneasy. Humanity's colonies stretched beyond Mars. No. Their ships used quantum engines unknown to the Council. Their AI networks operated beyond standard galactic protocols, and yet Elias Varin never spoke of war or conquest. He spoke of unity, of rebuilding worlds, of saving dying suns. "Humanity has no empire," he said, "only home." But deep within the council, some leaders exchanged nervous glances. They felt something strange about these humans, something that didn't fit into the old balance of power. The Jakar Chancellor closed the meeting, smiling once more. "Welcome to the Galaxy Council, humanity. May your path be peaceful and wise." Elias Varin bowed his head slightly. "Peace," he said, "is what we always prepare for." And as the meeting ended, the council thought little of his words. But among the stars outside, the Terran fleet waited, silent as ghosts. Watching, learning, calculating, the galaxy had just opened its doors to a species that had mastered both war and peace, a species that had crawled through its own destruction and risen stronger than ever. The Council didn't yet understand. They had welcomed not a child of the stars, but a survivor of a death world, and soon they would realize what that truly meant. The council chamber buzzed with whispers long after humanity's first appearance. News of the Terran ambassador spread like wildfire through the stars. Every empire, every alliance, and every intelligence network began to talk about the strange newcomers from the small blue planet called Earth. Most of them laughed. Some were curious, a few were afraid, but most just laughed. In the grand archives of the council, the alien historians opened files on humanity. They watched recordings of human wars, atomic explosions, and chaotic centuries. They called them reckless creatures, born from violence and endless conflict. The word primitive echoed across galactic networks like a joke shared among friends. Yet deep within those old videos, one could see something others missed. Their will to survive, their refusal to surrender, their ability to adapt. On the following days, the council gathered again. Delegates from across the galaxy filled the shining chamber once more. This time, the agenda was to discuss Earth's position among the member species. As Elias Varin entered, hundreds of alien eyes turned toward him. Some smiled politely, others stared with open mockery. The High Chancellor greeted him. "Ambassador of Earth, today you will explain how your people can contribute to our grand alliance." Elias simply nodded, calm as ever. Behind him stood two Terran officers and a scientist named Dr. Celine Ward, who carried a holographic device glowing with faint blue light. The moment the humans took their seats, laughter rippled across the hall. One of the larger alien delegates, a four-armed being from the Vrax Dominion, spoke loudly so everyone could hear. "Tell us, human, how does a species that once poisoned its own oceans plan to help the galaxy?" More laughter followed, echoing through the chamber like thunder. Elias didn't flinch. He waited for the sound to fade. Then he said softly, "By cleaning the ones you destroyed." The laughter stopped instantly. The alien blinked, unsure if it was an insult or a promise. Dr. Celine stepped forward and activated her hologram. It projected the image of a dying world, the same one abandoned by the Vrax Dominion a century ago. In the hologram, the planet came back to life. Oceans reforming, skies clearing, cities rebuilt. "This is what humanity does," she said calmly. "We fix what others choose to abandon." A quiet tension filled the room. The aliens who mocked them moments ago looked uncertain now, but the High Chancellor smiled, trying to regain control. "Impressive simulation," he said, "but we deal in reality here, not imagination." Elias looked at him and replied, "That world already exists." He tapped his wrist and a live feed appeared, showing the same planet, glowing blue again, or fighting peacefully under Terran protection. The council gasped. "How?" whispered one delegate. "That world was dead." Elias answered with calm precision. "To you, maybe." The silence that followed was heavy. Some delegates leaned back, their expressions uneasy. Others whispered to their aides in panic, sending encrypted signals to their governments. For the first time, the council began to understand that humanity's progress was far beyond what they had imagined. Then, one arrogant voice broke the silence. A commander from the Zeltor Federation stood and sneered. "Your people are just lucky scavengers," he said. "You steal old technologies and pretend to be innovators." Elias tilted his head slightly. "Would you like a demonstration?" he asked quietly. The alien scoffed. "Of what? Your little metal toys?" Elias turned to Dr. Celine, who smiled faintly and pressed a button on her wrist device. The lights in the entire chamber flickered once, then stabilized. A few aliens looked confused. The High Chancellor frowned. "What did you just do?" Celine spoke, her tone soft yet firm. "We just synchronized your entire defense network." The room exploded in alarmed voices. "Impossible," shouted one guard. "Our systems are isolated." Elias looked around, his calm presence suddenly intimidating. "Humanity does not steal," he said. "We learn." Panic spread through the room, but Elias raised his hand gently. "Do not fear," he said. "No harm has been done. Your systems are safe. We only wanted to show you what we can do when underestimated." The council members fell silent again. Every alien who had mocked humanity now stared at them with wide eyes. Even the High Chancellor seemed speechless for the first time in centuries. After a long pause, Elias continued. "Humanity has come to share peace," he said. "But peace without strength is an illusion." He let the words hang in the air, heavy and sharp like a blade. "Now you know why Earth survived when others fell," he said quietly, "and why peace with us will always be kept." As the council session ended, the delegates left in silence. The laughter was gone, replaced by unease and fear. In the private corridors of the council station, messages spread across the galaxy. Some called humanity dangerous, others called them essential. But one truth began to grow clear. The galaxy had just met a species that didn't bow, didn't break, and didn't need permission to rise. Elias Varen walked out of the chamber, his eyes steady as he looked into the stars beyond the glass walls. Dr. Celine smiled beside him. "They still think we showed them everything," she whispered. Elias shook his head slowly. "No," he said. "We only showed them a fraction." Behind them, in the dark of space, Terran command ships waited in complete silence, their systems cloaked, their power dormant, waiting for the moment the galaxy would learn the truth. That humanity was not the weakest new member, but the silent storm the stars had unknowingly invited in. The next cycle began with tension thick across the stars. Whispers of humanity's display had spread like fire through every empire. The mighty races of the council were restless, curious, and afraid. For the first time in centuries, the old powers felt something they thought was extinct: doubt. In the heart of the celestial spire, the council's headquarters orbited a golden sun. Hundreds of ships gathered outside, representing every race, every military, every banner of the galaxy. They had come to witness what the council called the grand demonstration. It was meant to be a show of strength, a reminder that unity through power still ruled the stars. Each species would reveal its fleet, its weapons, its newest marvels of science, and at the end, the youngest member, humanity, would take its turn. Many expected Earth to fail. The older races smirked, confident in their fleets of moon-sized dreadnoughts and energy cannons that could melt continents. The humans, they thought, would bring nothing but pride and outdated metal. The High Chancellor took his seat, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Let the demonstration begin," he declared. One by one, fleets appeared through shimmering gates of light. The Krator Armada unleashed plasma storms that turned asteroids into vapor. The Vrax Dominion displayed gravitational weapons that bent space like fabric. The Zeltor Federation brought colossal carriers the size of cities. The crowd roared each time, dazzled by the power. Until finally the Chancellor said, "And now the newest member, humanity." Silence. No fleet entered, no signal appeared, no ship broke the void. A few delegates chuckled. "Perhaps they are too primitive for such displays," one sneered. "Or too afraid," said another. The High Chancellor frowned and turned toward the Terran seat. "Ambassador Varen, where is your demonstration?" he asked, his tone cold. Elias Varen stood slowly, calm as always. He simply said, "Look outside." The delegates turned toward the massive glass wall overlooking the void. At first they saw nothing but stars. Then the stars began to vanish one by one, swallowed by something darker than space itself. A massive silhouette emerged, silent and shapeless, blocking entire constellations. Gasps filled the chamber. "What is that?" shouted one alien. Varen replied softly, "That is the Leviathan, our flagship." The darkness moved, revealing a warship so enormous it seemed to bend reality around it. It was not shining like other ships. It didn't reflect light. It devoured it. Its hull was layered with quantum black metal, each plate alive with faint patterns of shifting energy. Sensors in the council chamber began to fail. Screens flickered. Alarms blared. "We're losing all readings," cried a technician. "Shut it down. It's jamming the entire network," yelled another. Varen remained perfectly calm, his voice cutting through the panic. "We have disabled nothing," he said. "Your systems are simply too slow to understand what they see." The High Chancellor's eyes widened. "And that ship, how is it cloaked?" Varen answered. "It's not cloaked. It hides in perception. The mind refuses to register its form." The alien delegates shifted uneasily. Every empire present realized they could not even see the ship properly, and that frightened them more than any weapon. Then, with a single gesture, Varen raised his hand and said, "Observe." The Leviathan moved faster than light, without warp, without jump. One moment it was outside the chamber, the next, it appeared above the Council's moonbase, silent, majestic, unstoppable. Every sensor in the system overloaded. Dozens of alien admirals stood in disbelief. "No known drive can do that," whispered the Vrax commander, "not even ours." The Leviathan's hull began to glow faintly, blue veins of energy pulsing like a heartbeat. A low hum filled the air, vibrating through the chamber walls, and then, across the entire system, every ship's weapon deactivated, every engine went still, powerless, helpless, frozen. A deathly silence followed. The High Chancellor stood, his voice trembling. "What have you done?" he demanded. Varen looked at him and replied, "Nothing destructive. We only asked your weapons to rest." The Chancellor's four eyes widened. "You asked them?" "Yes," Varen said, "and they obeyed." No one spoke. Every delegate, every admiral, every ruler watching from across the galaxy understood the message. Humanity did not conquer by force, they conquered by control. They didn't shout, they whispered, and the stars listened. The Leviathan powered down and vanished again, fading into the blackness like a ghost. Elias Varen looked around the silent chamber. "This is not a threat," he said quietly. "It is a promise." "A promise," repeated the Chancellor. "Yes," Varen replied. "That peace will always have a guardian." For the first time in millennia, the galaxy's greatest powers realized that their empires, their fleets, their weapons meant nothing because something greater had entered their council, something they could not defeat, could not predict, could not understand. And yet that same force spoke only of peace as the council dismissed. Fear and awe mixed in every heart. The message spread to every world, every colony, every empire. The words burned like fire through galactic channels. The humans have shown their power and they didn't even fire a shot. And in the silent darkness beyond the stars, the Leviathan drifted quietly. Its AI core whispered in coded frequencies to Earth. Observation complete. Response level. Fear, submission, and curiosity. Mission successful. Elias Varen looked up at the sky and said softly, "Let them fear us. Only then will they learn to respect peace." The galaxy did not sleep after the demonstration. Every communication channel, every news relay, and every shadow network whispered the same name. Humanity. The mighty empires that once ruled the stars now spoke in silence. They had seen a single Terran ship disable the entire Council's defense grid without firing a shot. They had seen something beyond science, beyond understanding, and with that sight came fear. In the cold void between worlds, hidden meetings began. The Vrax Dominion, the Zeltor Federation, and the Krator Armada gathered their highest leaders in secret. The stars above them burned dim as if listening. "They call it peace," growled the Vrax warlord, his four eyes glowing red. "But peace enforced by fear is still domination." The Zeltor commander hissed, "We should have destroyed them before they built that ship." "But we didn't," replied the Krator strategist quietly, "and now we cannot." Across the galaxy, the word Deathworlders spread like a virus. Scholars reopened old reports from centuries past. They studied the human homeworld, Earth, a planet where nature itself tried to kill its children, where storms destroyed cities, where predators hunted the intelligent, a world so cruel that only the strongest minds could survive. And they realized something terrifying. If humanity had evolved there, then every one of them carried that same resilience in their blood. In the council hall, the High Chancellor sat alone, watching the stars through a transparent wall of energy. He had ruled for 500 years, but never had he felt this kind of unease. He called for a private meeting with Ambassador Elias Varen. When Varen entered, the Chancellor said softly, "You have changed the balance of the galaxy." Elias simply replied, "Balance was already broken. We just revealed it." The Chancellor's voice trembled. "Do you intend to rule us?" Varen looked at him with calm eyes. "No," he said. "Humanity doesn't need to rule. We build, we defend, we remember." "But the others are afraid," said the Chancellor. "They whisper of war, of alliances, of containment." Elias turned his gaze toward the stars. "Fear is natural," he said. "It keeps the foolish from starting wars they cannot finish. While they spoke, the other empires began to act. Spies moved through shadows, gathering fragments of Terran technology. Assassins followed human envoys through stations, hoping to test their strength. And on the edge of the Orion Arm, secret fleets gathered, cloaked in darkness. They didn't plan for open war, not yet. They planned to learn, to steal, to copy what they could not create. On Earth, the Terran High Command already knew every intercepted signal, every coded whisper, every hidden fleet, all recorded, all analyzed. Within the underground fortress of Luna Base, Admiral Kalen stood before a massive holographic map of the galaxy. Red dots spread like blood across the stars. Fear spreads faster than light, he said. They will come for us soon. Elias Varen's image flickered into view. Then let them, he answered. Fear only hurts those who don't understand what they fear. Meanwhile, within alien Acades, Mies, children were told stories of Earth. They learned to fear humans like monsters from myth. They were told that humans were born from fire, raised by storms, and tamed lightning itself. And in the shadows of those stories, truth and myth began to merge. The council tried to calm the panic by broadcasting peace messages, but it was too late. The image of the Leviathan haunted every dream. Pilots claimed they saw ghost ships near their borders, black silhouettes moving faster than light. Merchants whispered that human drones were already among them, invisible, listening, watching. One night, the High Chancellor stood on the balcony of his spire, staring into the endless dark. He whispered to himself, "We thought we welcomed allies, but maybe we invited gods." At that very moment, deep in space, a Terran AI recorded his words through hidden satellites. Its voice echoed softly across encrypted channels. Observation complete. Psychological dominance achieved. Back on Earth, the leaders of humanity gathered inside the Terran Unity Chamber. Holograms of the Council worlds floated before them. Dr. Celine Ward spoke first. They are preparing for defense, not attack. Elias Varen nodded. Good. Fear will make them careful. The Prime Commander asked. And if they strike first, Varen replied, then we remind them why Deathworlders never lose twice. As the meeting ended, Earth's skies filled with silent ships rising into orbit, not for conquest, but for readiness. Every system activated, every network aligned, the Leviathan and its sister ships drifted near Jupiter's moons, their hulls reflecting nothing, waiting, watching, unblinking, and far away among the trembling empires of the galaxy. Fear had turned into obsession. They wanted to understand humanity's power, but the more they studied, the less they understood. Every path led back to the same truth. You cannot defeat what refuses to die. The stars themselves seemed to whisper. The humans are not conquerors, they are survivors, and survival is the most dangerous power of all. Fear had turned the galaxy into a storm of secrets, and from that storm betrayal was born. In the deep void near the Orion Passage, 5 empires gathered in silence. The Vrax Dominion, the Zeltor Federation, the Dravari Syndicate, the Krator Armada, and the Tesselian Compact. Each ruler appeared as a shimmering projection over a dark star map, their faces hidden, their voices distorted. They called their meeting Operation Eclipse. Its purpose was simple, to contain humanity or destroy it. The Vrax warlord spoke first, his voice sharp as steel. The humans think they control the stars with fear, he said, but fear can be turned into anger. The Zeltor admiral hissed, we will strike their fleets, jam their networks, and seize their ship cores before they even notice. The Dravari Shadowmaster leaned forward, his eyes glowing like embers. No one must know, he whispered. We will make it look like an accident, a cosmic event. While they conspired, a small Terran satellite drifted nearby, cloaked in silence. It listened, recorded, and transmitted every word back to Earth. Humanity already knew. They had known since the moment fear began to whisper. On Luna Command, Elias Varen stood before a glowing projection of the galaxy. Around him were the leaders of Earth's defense network, Dr. Celine Ward, Admiral Kalen, and the AI overseer known as Archon 9. They plan to betray us, said Kalen, his tone cold. Varen nodded. Let them try, he said. Sometimes, the best way to teach truth is to let lies unfold. Archon 9 spoke in a calm digital voice. Would you like me to intercept their fleets? Varen replied. No, let them come, but make sure they are seen. Days later, the False Alliance began its plan. Massive fleets moved quietly toward the neutral system of Elira 9, where a small Terran research outpost orbited a dying star. The outpost was peaceful, unmanned, except for drones and scientists. But to the five empires, it was bait. They believed it held fragments of the Leviathan's core technology, and so they came, cloaked and ready. In the council chamber, the High Chancellor received the first signal of movement. Unregistered fleets entering restricted zones, reported the monitors. He frowned. Whose fleets? No identification, but their energy signatures match council members. The Chancellor froze, realization dawning. If this attack succeeded, the fragile peace would shatter forever. Meanwhile, in orbit above Elira 9, the stars began to twist. 5 fleets appeared, ships black as oil, engines burning crimson. Their commanders shouted orders through encrypted channels. Capture the outpost, destroy resistance. But as the first missile launched, something strange happened. The missile vanished, simply dissolved in mid-space. Then another and another. No explosion, no defense field. Just disappearance. The lead commander screamed, "What is happening?" And then the void answered. From the darkness emerged the Leviathan. It didn't warp in. It simply appeared, silent, like it had been there all along. Its hull rippled with starlight, its engines whispering like thunder. Every alien ship froze, their systems unresponsive, their weapons dead. The fleet's own computers began transmitting Terran codes. Every command was overridden, every system locked. And then a voice echoed through the void, calm, human, and merciless. Betrayal acknowledged, Elias Varen's voice said. You have chosen to test peace with war. Now you will learn what war means when humanity answers. The Vrax warlord roared. You cannot fight all of us. Varen's voice replied. We don't have to fight. We only have to show you what you already fear. The Leviathan's core flared to life. A sphere of blue energy formed around the fleets. Every ship inside felt time itself slow, engines freezing, weapons turning to dust, but no one died. No explosion, no destruction, just silence. Humanity had stopped time within a single system. Across the galaxy, live feeds transmitted the event. Every empire, every leader, every child watched as 5 fleets hung motionless in the void, and then a single message appeared on every screen. Peace is not weakness, it read. It is mercy. When the sphere faded, the fleets were gone, not destroyed but moved. They reappeared near their own homeworlds, disarmed, powerless, drifting. Every ruler received the same communication. Betrayal forgiven, but not forgotten. The High Chancellor stood in disbelief. How did they move fleets across systems, he whispered. His aides trembled. That's not travel, sir, one said. That's control. On Luna, Varen stood before Archon 9. The AI spoke softly. Operation Eclipse neutralized without casualties. Varen nodded. Good. They will remember mercy longer than pain. Dr. Celine smiled faintly. Do you think they've learned their lesson? Varen looked into the holographic map of the stars. No, he said, but they've learned fear. As the night stretched over Earth, humanity's fleets remained hidden. They did not celebrate, they did not boast, they only watched, waiting for the next storm, because they knew something the galaxy still refused to understand. Power was never the weapon, it was the restraint to not use it. And among the countless stars, the message echoed across every channel. You cannot betray those who already see you coming. The betrayal had ended without blood, but the silence that followed was heavier than any war. Across the galaxy, empires that once called themselves eternal now watched the stars with caution. Every leader, every admiral, every spy wondered the same question. What truly are the humans? Weeks passed, but humanity made no threats, no demands. Instead, they sent invitations. Every council member was asked to visit Earth to see with their own eyes what kind of world could create such power, yet still speak of peace. The day came when the council's flagship descended through Earth's clouds. It passed over shining oceans, through cities that floated above the sea. Down below, forests stretched across continents, glowing softly with biolight. It was not the dying world the archives had described. It was alive, balanced, perfect. The aliens inside the ship stared in disbelief. One whispered, "This world once nearly destroyed itself, and now it looks like paradise." At the Terran Unity complex, the visitors were welcomed by Ambassador Elias Varine. He led them through halls of glass and light where knowledge flowed like water through transparent conduits. Machines worked beside humans with quiet harmony. Children studied alongside AI tutors, whose voices sounded almost human. Everywhere they looked, life and technology moved together like breath and heartbeat. The High Chancellor asked softly, "How did you rebuild so completely after your wars?" Varen smiled faintly. "Because we had to," he said. "We learned that destruction teaches faster than peace." He led them into a chamber deep beneath the city. At its center floated a sphere of shifting light, pulsing gently with blue energy. "This," Varen said, "is the Unity Protocol." The alien stepped closer, the air humming with strange warmth. "What does it do?" asked the Chancellor. Varen's voice turned calm but sharp. "It listens," he said. "It connects every intelligent system in this galaxy, not by force, but by resonance." The council members exchanged glances, unsure if they understood. Varen continued. "When conflict begins anywhere, the protocol knows. It disarms weapons before they fire. It silences fleets before they move. It prevents war before it exists." The Vrax delegate whispered, "You control every weapon." Varen shook his head slowly. "No, we guide intention." "But that's impossible," another said. "You can't read the minds of an entire galaxy." Dr. Celine Ward stepped forward, her eyes bright with calm confidence. "We don't read minds," she said. "We read fear, aggression, desperation, the energy patterns that always come before war." She raised her wrist and projected a map of the galaxy filled with waves of light. "Every emotion leaves a trace," she said. "Every spark of hate vibrates through reality." The council chamber fell into silence. They realized what she meant. Humanity had built a machine that could feel the galaxy's emotions, a living conscience woven into the stars. The Chancellor's voice trembled. "Then you have made yourselves gods." Varen replied quietly. "No, we made ourselves responsible." He looked at the holographic stars above them. "We do not seek to rule, but to remember, to make sure no world ever repeats the mistakes that nearly ended ours." One of the delegates, still fearful, demanded, "And if we refuse this, if we deny your system?" Varen turned his gaze upon him, calm but unyielding. "Then the Unity Protocol will simply ignore you," he said, "until you become a threat. Then it will stop you, not to destroy, but to remind." At that moment, the floor beneath them shifted and the chamber walls opened. Beyond the glass lay the true heart of Earth's new age. Hundreds of ships hovered in orbit, silent, motionless, reflecting the sunlight like a shield of mirrors. Each ship bore the same symbol, the circle of Earth surrounded by infinite stars. They were not warships, they were guardians of the protocol itself, and as the visitors watched, they realized the truth. Humanity had not built an empire of soldiers. They had built an empire of balance. The Chancellor spoke again, almost in awe. "You could destroy every world and yet you choose not to." Varen nodded, "because strength means nothing without choice." He led them back toward the surface. The sky above Earth shimmered with auroras of light born from the protocol's pulse. Elias Varen stopped and looked at the council delegation. "You feared us," and he said, "but fear was never the goal. The goal was understanding, the kind that comes only when the powerful realize they are not alone." As the council ship ascended once more, the visitors looked down at the blue planet below. For the first time, they did not see a threat. They saw a mirror, a reflection of what the galaxy could become if it survived its own arrogance. That night, as stars lit the Terran sky, Archon 9's voice whispered through every orbiting ship. "Observation complete," it said. "Harmony increasing, conflict probability reduced by 89%. Varen watched the stars and said softly, "The universe finally listens." And somewhere in the endless dark, the Leviathan drifted once again, its engines quiet, its purpose complete, but its presence remained, a reminder carved into the memory of the galaxy, that humanity, the children of a death world, had turned survival into peace, and peace itself into power. The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. Ever since the Unity Protocol awakened, no fleet had fired a weapon. No empire had dared to declare war. For the first time in 10,000 years, the stars knew peace. But beneath that silence, a question echoed everywhere. How much power did the humans truly hold? In hidden corners of the universe, old rulers whispered, if they can feel our emotions, can they also shape them? If they can stop war, can they start one? Fear turned to paranoia, and paranoia grew into plans. A coalition of 7 races secretly forged a device, the Null Heart, a weapon designed to drain energy from space itself to collapse the Unity Protocol. If it worked, humanity's control would end, and the old balance would return. They activated it in the dead zone beyond the galactic rim. For 3 minutes the stars dimmed, and then something impossible happened. The device froze mid-pulse. Every system inside it stopped moving, as if time had forgotten them, and out of the dark came a voice so calm it shattered their souls. Do you still believe we seek control? He said. They looked up and the sky itself opened, revealing a form larger than any ship ever built. It wasn't the Leviathan. It was something beyond it, a construct so vast that stars burned within its hull. Its surface rippled like liquid light, carrying patterns of galactic maps. The humans called it the Eidolon, the final creation of the Terran mind, the core of the Unity itself. From its heart stepped Elias Varan, his image projected across every world simultaneously. No screens, no signals, just presence. Felt in the minds of all living beings, even the AI of other civilizations paused to listen. He spoke, his voice gentle but infinite. You built a weapon to erase our light, he said, and in doing so, you proved our purpose. Humanity was never meant to rule. We were meant to remind the galaxy of what it could be. The Eidolon glowed brighter, casting rays that stretched from star to star. Planets in conflict felt their weapons turn to dust. Armies felt their rage fade, their minds clear. Then came the vision. Every being saw what humans had seen. A dead earth, burned and broken, oceans of ashes, skies of fire, cities in ruins. And then they saw it reborn, green, bright, forgiving. The Eidolon whispered, "This is our origin. This is why we understand pain. You fear us because you have never faced your own extinction and survived." The Vrax warlord fell to his knees, his voice shaking. "What are you?" Elias Varan answered. "We are the memory of every species that refused to die." He looked toward the council chamber through light and time. The true power of humanity is not in our machines, nor our ships, but in our will to rise again. The Eidolon extended a field of light that wrapped around the council planet. Every citizen felt a strange warmth, like hope itself flowing through their veins. The High Chancellor spoke, tears in his eyes. "You could have Eva concurred us all." Varan nodded slowly. "But then we would have become what we once feared to be." The Unity Protocol expanded to every corner of the galaxy, not as a network but as a heartbeat shared by every living thing. No order was given, no law was declared, yet every being knew that a new age had begun, the age of understanding. On Earth, the Leviathan and its sister ships rose into the sunlight one last time, then vanished into the void, their mission complete. Humanity withdrew from the Council, leaving behind only their legacy, their guardians, and their promise, a message carved into the stars in every known language. Strength is measured not by how many you can command, but by how many you can protect. Centuries later, the Council still met under that light, and every member planet began its meetings with a moment of silence. For the world that taught them peace, no one had seen a human in 100 years, but sometimes when a new war threatened to ignite, a shadow appeared in the sky, and all weapons went quiet. The people would look up and whisper, "They're still watching." And somewhere beyond the edge of the galaxy, in a silent cradle of light, Elias Varan stood before the Eidolon's core, his eyes reflecting 1,000 suns. He smiled and said, "The Council welcomed us as children. Now they understand we were their awakening." The stars flickered once, as if bowing in respect, and the galaxy breathed in peace for the first time in forever.